Studying in humanities gives you the opportunity to build a bridge between the things of your heart and the things of your head. So all of those things that get you excited and that you get passionate about, you can actually apply some intellectual inquiry to. And so for me, it's been really fun to bring those two parts of myself together.
There's a misconception that humanities students don't gain technical skills, but we gain an understanding of how to read information, how to understand it, especially complex information that crosses various topics, and then be able to come up with solutions. And we're not afraid of change in society, because humanities teaches you that change is inevitable and important, and you have to be able to adapt.
To go back again to these skills of, reading and writing and critical thinking, I think these are skills that are slowly eroding, especially now in the age of artificial intelligence or AI. So I think if you study the humanities and you are able to acquire these skills, it puts you at a distinct advantage.
So you have people from economics, you have people from politics, you have all these people, they understand reality in a certain way, right? Let's say if you are a human being, they only understand the skeleton, they don't understand the flesh. Now the wealth of storytelling is that we bring the flesh, right? To make people understand what numbers actually mean, right? So if you have a statistician, they're gonna give you numbers, but the complexity of the situation. And we who are trained in storytelling, it's more than just numbers, and that actually has value. It has value because you need to understand the human impact of things.
Well, I did my master's in psychology and I'm currently doing my PhD as well. And I'm looking into well-being, student well-being, and how justice impacts on well-being and also our sense of mattering.
I studied music at Stellenbosch University and I specialized in composition. Specifically, I'm taking it through the lens of dynamical systems theory, which is a fancy way of saying we think not as individuals but as a groups of people or cultures.
So I started my education in law as a means to aid in the liberation of people who look like me and sound like me. But by the end of it, coming to the realization that I would only be able to practice law in English felt disingenuous to my main motivation. The questions became, how do I liberate my people in a language that they do not understand and through a system that doesn't recognize the parity of our languages? And I found a home in the Department of African Languages to investigate these questions.
So the humanities teaches you to have ethical judgment and look at how things impact society and not only the economy, for example, and whose voices are heard or understood or not understood within various interventions or various businesses, for example.
Particularly what I enjoy in the past few years is the focus on decolonizing how we collect research, how we tell people's stories, and also how we, the value we place on the types of information we collect from people and the stories we take. So we don't only speak to people, we also ask people to show us.
My field of study is jewelry design or creative jewelry design and metal techniques. The reason why I chose jewelry design is because it tends to combine like a conceptual thinking with hands-on making at the same time. It gives you a way of taking one's ideas, one's stories, as well as one's identity, and through those processes you are able to translate them via material as well as via the process itself into something new. So basically, one's identity, one's story, one's culture can easily be translated through this art medium of jewelry design.
Because I majored in African literature, and then all of my research has been African subjectivity centered. So what has been most meaningful for me is that I am now better able to explain the history of my people, and I understand my place not only in South Africa, not only in Africa, but in the world better, right? And I think that sort of education is meaningful because it's not just a means to an end. It's like really just improving my life, like getting to understand who I am, where I'm from, and things like that.
It teaches you how to look at your passions and your heart interests a little bit differently, and to see it as something that is worth intellectual inquiry and something that can make a difference in academia and in the world.
Humanities are here to stay, and it's what connects us as people and makes us feel a part of a community and a larger whole.
The world without humanities research would understand itself less. The way we build societies and understand our culture and our histories would have less of a mirror pointing back towards it. We wouldn't be able to reflect on what we've done, reflect on how we structure the things we structure, and how we understand our culture. We'd not have as good of an idea of why we do what we do.